So the Republicans have decided that the proposal in the bipartisan infrastructure bill to strengthen the IRS so it can crack down on American tax dodgers needs to go. They agreed to it as one of the major ways to fund the bill, but they got some calls and their donors weren't happy, so now it's out. First, they refused to discuss raising taxes on corporations or the ultra-rich to pay for any part of the bill, when Biden and the Democrats suggested raising the tax rate on the very richest from 25% to 28%. Now, keep in mind, prior to the Trump tax cuts in 2017, the rate those people were paying was 35%. But 28% to help pay for the country's crumbling roads and bridges and airports and trains? Psh! Completely unacceptable. So the two parties sat down and they negotiated paying for the bill in part by going after the taxpayers who don't pay their fair share of income tax, because the IRS commissioner has said that the national gap between the federal taxes owed and the actual taxes collected are about $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion. And do you think that discrepancy comes from the working class whose taxes are mostly taken directly out of their paycheck? No, it comes from the super rich, who the IRS says they don't have the funding to audit because they are completely outgunned by the increasingly sophisticated tax avoidance schemes and years of budget cuts that have left them drastically understaffed. Like, we used to have 17,000 more IRS employees a decade ago. What happened to them? So the plan was, fund the IRS, pay for new staff, follow the money. Right now, the IRS mostly audits poor and middle-class people because they can't afford fancy lawyers or pay to hide their assets. But this bill was going to beef up the system, make them capable of going after the big dogs. Again, not to take anything from them, but just to get a shot at making them pay what they already owe. And then we would use that money to help fund jobs and upgrade the country. So it's a win-win, right? Nope. Wrong. Republicans are not going to do it. They refuse to raise taxes on the wealthy. They refuse to tax corporations. And now, they're refusing to give the IRS enough funding to afford to go after wealthy tax cheats. I mean, how much more evidence do you need that Republicans only work for their donors? How many more times do we need to be hit in the face with the fact that they could not care less about the rest of us? They keep us ginned up on controversy and culture wars so we don't pay attention when they do this kind of stuff. You know about CRT, right? But an underfunded IRS that loses $1 trillion a year in lost taxes from the wealthiest Americans? Not so much. They call Democrats socialists and communists and radicalized, but that's just a distraction. The shaking of a shiny thing over here so you don't notice what's going on over here, which is undercutting America to protect the ruling class and their own power and money. So in the future, when you're driving across a bridge and it falls into a chasm, or your town burns to the ground, or is engulfed by the ocean, that'll be because the Republican leaders chose the priority of themselves and their wealthy donors over your safety, your livelihood, and America itself. Or you could just stop voting for these liars and we could actually get stuff done.